Hi, my name is Afonso Poyar, the director of the Warrior Lacrosse Anthem spot, and let's talk a little about the making of this film. We used a mixture of techniques here. It ranges from illustrations, pictures, stencil art, live action, 3D, stop motion, graffiti, and the list goes on. For example, we needed to shot a knife to blend with the drawings here, so I borrowed a knife from a guy that makes coffee here at the studio and stuff, and he has a huge collection of knives. I don't know why. I hope he's not a serial killer. But anyway, we shot his knife in stop motion and stuff. And if you notice, there are some little bullet holes on the lower left corner of the frame. There are small details like this all over the film. I will try to point some for. Oh, this word heat is very beautiful. It was made with rollerball pen, and this fire was shot on stage here. Well, actually, we shot a lot of fire on this project. We almost set the whole house on fire. We needed to order some extra fire extinguishers, just in case. Well, for this explosion here, we got some stock footage of explosions, and we printed them on paper. And an illustrator made some rough drawings on top of it. And we cut it out, not on Photoshop, but with real scissors, just to give a very natural look to the whole thing. It was a lot of trouble to do, but the effects were really nice. Oh, this huge dog here is one of my favorite drawings, and there is this little detail on his football. There are some tiny guys jumping from his ball and running for their lives, and there is this little brave guy that tries to fight the dog, in vain, of course, because the warrior guys, they have no pity. Well, speaking of dogs, in the lower left corner you can see a dog licking the other dog's ass. On the top right there is a nice animation, very simple animation of a dog getting decapitated by a ball, and there is some blood spraying from his neck. And there is an interesting thing about this dog that flies through this ring of fire here. It was meant to be a very ugly and dirty dog because it represents the warrior opponents, the bad guys. So the 3D people here, they made the most terrible dog you could ever imagine. It was too awful to me. So we decided to draw on top of the 3D animation just to apply a little charm to the poor bastard. And it looked like this in the end. It's dirty, but it's a little cute. Oh, these metal hands here that open the ball, they are made out of pieces of metal, screws, all sorts of junk. And we made this glove out of these things. Was a little dangerous because they were made of sharp metal and it was rusty metal. So, but on the film it doesn't appear a lot, but here you can finally check it out with more detail. For these demons here, we draw the whole animation sequence on paper. Then we put water on top of the paper, and we applied ink on the water, and then we shot the ink spreading through the water. It is a very nice effect. And then on the computer, we combined these footages using a time blending technique. And it took a long time to make this work right. In the end, it was worth it. Well, speaking of the live action players we see all over this film, they were all rotoscoped from the real game footage. And rotoscoping is a technique that we separate an element, in this case the players, from a background. And this is done frame by frame, and this is a very time-consuming process, and our Roto man here made a wonderful job. He worked very patiently. And you can see here this big guy that smashes the little trophy guy, and you can see this little blood coming out from the defeated guy's mouth. Oh, in this sequence we tried to make something like two armies colliding, kind of medieval style fight. We actually made 4 variations of the soldiers, and then we duplicated with slightly changes of rotation, position, and then comes this guy that kills the dragon. A very talented guy animated this dragon, and he draws so much stuff in the whole film that he needed to take a break, a couple of days, because he was, his hands started to fail on him. And he was a real warrior, and we start to see this massive legion of warrior players coming from the back towards the screen. We tried to make something like the final sequence of the movie 300, and then in the composition we did this camera shake just to make things more dynamic. This scene was all made on 3D, and the 3D department they worked a lot on this scene, and they made it very quickly because of the deadline. The 3D guys, they almost quitted, but in the end, everything worked fine. And in the end, and speaking seriously, it took like 20 people to do this project, and for like 500 hours. But we all loved doing it. Well, that's it. I hope this commentary was useful for you in some way, and thank you.